I'm John Weber, and this is Authors and Answers. My guest today is Sung Woo. Sung is the author of Love, Love, a book about a failed tennis star who's trying to find out exactly who he is. So Sung, tell us about Love, Love.
Love, Love is a story about a brother and a sister, Judy and Kevin, and the point of view switches between the two of them. Judy is a failed painter, and she is trying to kind of get on with her life, while Kevin is a kind of a failed tennis player. He was at one point a pro, but he isn't anymore. And just the novel is, Kevin goes to the hospital to donate his kidney to his ailing father and finds out that his dad is not his dad, not his biological dad. So it sets him off on a journey to find who he is in many ways.
So what was the inspiration for this book?
You know, it's a tough thing to find out what inspires anything for me. Usually it's just one thing that strikes me, and for this one it was this kind of kidney test for donation. My father, to make this more personal, my father also had issues with his kidneys, and he actually died of kidney failure at the end. So that was kind of on my mind. I think more than anything, this book was kind of a reaction to my first novel, Everything Asian, which featured a 12-year-old narrator. And I never for a second thought the novel would ever be considered young adult, but just by it having a young narrator, it was kind of pigeonholed as such. So in reaction to that, I think I wrote Love, Love, thinking I am going to write a book that cannot possibly be classified as a young adult novel. So this one features two older characters, 40 and 38, I think. And it also delves into the adult film industry. So those were, I think, the two reasons why I wrote the book that I did.
Now, the main characters of this book are Korean American. You're Korean American. Are Asian Americans having a moment in literary circles in this country, do you think?
It certainly seems that way. Certainly last year, with the coming out of the movie Crazy Rich Asians, Kevin Kwan's novel, it seems to be in the zeitgeist, for sure. There were also other notables. I think it was To All the Boys I've Loved Before was another novel that was that starred an Asian American actress. That was a big hit in Netflix. That was also a novel, a young adult novel. And it kind of is continuing. There's another novel by Celeste Nig, I think is her last name, Ng, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, called Little Fires Everywhere. And I believe that one right now is going to be showing, I think, either on HBO or something as a miniseries. I think it was bought by Reese Witherspoon's company. So yeah, things are certainly happening. All these adaptations of Asian American works, I think it's a great thing. I'm also a big fan of Kim's Convenience, this wonderful sitcom, really, that is, I think, from the Canadian Broadcasting Company. And that's another thing that I believe it was a play years ago, and then they turned it into a sitcom, and it's in its third season, and it's hilarious, and I really appreciate it.
Now, you mentioned that one of the main characters is a failed tennis player, but he happens to be playing in a match against a real-life tennis star. Would you mind reading an excerpt from Love, Love about that part?
So to set this up, Kevin, the main character, is relating the story to somebody else, but it's basically about him in his past playing a tennis player that you would probably remember. Never again would Kevin play anyone as accomplished. That year was the highest he'd ever rank on the ATP, 293. He was in his latter 20s then, well aware that his dream of playing in the US Open would remain just that, a dream. He had seen enough world-class talent to know that he could never compete for anything beyond the first round of a Grand Slam tournament. But he would never make it to the big stage, advancing only to the second round of qualifiers that year. Of course, he would have been trounced by whomever he played next, and with his luck, it probably would have been Pete Sampras or Andre Agassi himself. But to play a match in the gladiatorial expanse of Arthur Ashe Stadium, he had wanted that. He had practiced as hard as he could, even working with a sports psychiatrist to be more free and less controlling. And yet, still, it wasn't good enough. Maybe he shouldn't have been so accepting of his mediocrity, or maybe he should have tapped into his anger like John McEnroe. When things weren't going their way, many of his opponents slammed their rackets hard enough onto the concrete to warp the frame, garnering warnings from the chair umpire. But as a pro, Kevin never threw a fit. He never saw a reason for getting mad at the ball or the equipment or the linespeople, because even when he was losing, he wasn't exactly unhappy to be on court. Because at the core of it, he loved to play the game more than he wanted to win it, which meant he lacked the killer instinct that all champions have, that drive that gave them the impetus to win at all costs. Even against Andre Agassi in Binghamton on that sun-beating August afternoon, there wasn't a moment he wished he were somewhere else. After losing the first set 7-5, there was no mercy from the other side. Kevin did everything he could, mixing it up with serve and volley points, risking drop shots from the baseline, slicing his backhand low until the fine fuzz of the tennis ball kissed the tape as it floated over the net. But he was no longer playing a human being. That was what separated the best from the not-so-best, the unfathomable robotic consistency. No matter how well a rally was going, Kevin knew it was just a matter of time until his ball either dumped into the net or sailed long. The first set had taken more than an hour. The second, the one he would lose 6-0, meaning 4 points total, took 20 minutes.
Sung, for those interested, where can they find the book?
They can get it at their local bookstores. They can get it at Amazon, of course, Barnes & Noble. Yeah, it's available. It's published by a wonderful small publishing company called Soft Skull, which is an imprint of Counterpoint.
Sung Woo, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you, John.
And for Authors and Answers, I'm John Weber.